Motorsports presents the American Le Mans Series Race of 1,000 Years. It's been 90 days since the Olympic Games ended and we left Australia, but now we're back down under 900 miles west of Sydney in Adelaide, a city of some 1 million people in the state of South Australia. Unlike the cold and frigid weather that dominates much of the U.S., it's summer here, a very steamy day, close to 100 degrees, the forecast high, and some 76,000 have come to ring in the new year with a huge American racing street party.
The Adelaide street circuit, without question, the finest in the world. 2.35 miles at 16 turns of work.
And has been very demanding on the cars mechanically. We've seen it practice. We've already seen it our broadcast. It's going to be an issue in this race of 1,000 years. Three classes of cars compete together in the American Le Mans Series. You're looking at the prototype cars, the purpose-built, open-top, made-for-racing cars. The GTS cars like the Viper we saw earlier, production-based, and the GT cars, production-based, a little smaller engine displacement and a little bit slower. GTS title. There's the GT pole sitter, Lucas Luhr, to start with his teammate Dirk Müller to fall in behind, and now the rest of the field in the race of 1,000 years. And that GT championship is going to be a fierce one. The 51 car is the team car to Luhr and Müller, and those four drivers between them are going to race for the championship. That plus the three BMWs right behind in 15th, 16th, and 17th. Those cars from the 5 all the way down through the 6 machine in the grid, extremely tight in qualifying, and it is going to be a huge race for the victory in the GT class, I believe.
It will. I think the GT class will be one of the best battles that we're going to hear from today. And they are so close, as Alan just pointed out, that it's remarkable.
Got some great onboard cameras to help us with our coverage of the race of 1,000 years. This is Boris Said in one of the BMW M3s, starting 15th position. Just ahead of him in the grid is the 51 Dick Barber Racing Porsche. Sasha Mawson behind the wheel of that car as he gets set to go from 14th position. Up to the prototypes, the Raffinelli Lola. And now we're set to go racing and get the season finale underway. Here comes McNish and Bila down to the green flag, and we're green at Adelaide.
We are indeed, and look at McNish. He jogged over this to drop off the back of his teammate's car. So you were right that I think the teammate got a great jump. And watch Alan in that car that looks like a crocodile. Team have come off the blocks this year and have been so strong. But one of their strengths has been suspension. All season long, we've seen them go over bumps with a visible superiority to any of the race car. They're able to absorb the bump and not get upset by the bumps. Here, if the Audi drivers have to go over curbs to avoid a car, to get a little extra out off a corner, it doesn't seem to trouble them very much, whereas watching David work in the Panos, that's a lot of work in that car. And Mimo Scatarella, even more so in the Lola.
Watching Lucas Luhr in one of the Dick Barber Racing Porsches. This is the GT class leader. Remember, we described earlier the three different types of cars all competing together. This is the slowest of the three classes here. Don't mistake that for being slow. Watch this as he just hauls around this very tight Adelaide street circuit.
Yeah, these cars are a lot of fun on this track. They're not overpowered. They kind of point and squirt between the corners. And something for our viewers that are wondering, what's that thing hanging off the dashboard? It's just an air line, something the drivers can adjust and point air wherever they want. So it looks rather dangerous, but it's not. It's a soft rubber tube, strictly for driver comfort.
Now look at the championship standings in this, the final race of the season for the American Le Mans Series. 1 point between first and second, 7 points between first and third. Now the top two drivers, they co-drive the same car. The second two drivers, Müller and Luhr, they co-drive this car, the 5. Theoretically, there could be a tie, a three-way tie for the championship in this class at the end of the race. If the way that the points work, if Müller and Luhr in this 5 car win the race and Mawson and Wallach don't, then, without getting too complicated, there are bonus points for who drives the fastest lap in the race. The championship for the season's worth of racing could be decided by who of these 4 drivers runs the fastest lap of this class during the race.
And should we say anything about, we're glad that this race isn't in Florida because a recount will be requested?
Oh, and we'll leave you in charge of that. You're from Miami.
You see a bit of Chad hanging down right there, so.
You saw the fastest laps run so far among those 4 drivers. So
it's
right
a
now,
good battle, too.
Yeah, and look at the BMW creeping in right behind.
Yes.
That is Bill Oberlin in one of the prototype technology group BMW M3s, and we expect them to give these 2 Porsches a fit for the class victory. So Brabham back on course. You see, oh, one of the BMWs is stopped. That is the...
Yeah, I couldn't tell what the number was. That was a head-on view, but we'll try and get that for you as quickly as possible.
I believe that is the Boris Said car that is off the side of the road. The white banner should be the number 7 machine, so Boris Said in some trouble here.
That is it.
There it is, number 7.
Now, no physical damage, so that's some sort of mechanical failure. Each of the 3 BMWs this weekend, the Tom Milner cars, have suffered problems, which is really unusual because, again, the circuit is so smooth that it seems to have put very little strain on the cars. But one car went through an axle, one had a motor problem, and the third one was never reported to us. But Boris had entered this race to try and run a nice reduced pace and then perhaps pick it up near the end of the race. So this is very unexpected.
Martin, what's up with Boris Said's car?
Hadstuck says Boris said on the radio simply the engine's running but the wheels aren't turning. They've got no drive now. A broken drive shaft on the final lap of practice for Bill Orbelin in the number 10 car, but as you said, Boris's plan was to keep it off the curbs, out of trouble and attack in the final hour. Looks like that plan, like so many this weekend, has already gone west.
Wow. Tough break there for Boris.
To try and get by O'Connell, went in very deep, and this one here now.
Brian Cunningham.
Just an amazing display. I think he watched too many Olympics and was watching springboard competitions, decided to try it, and you don't get high marks for that one.
He was the GT class leader, broke a half shaft with that bounce over the curb, limped it back around to the pits where it spent time in the garage getting repairs. Next up for problems was Johnny O'Connell in the Panos. This is the final race of the 2000 American Le Mans Series schedule. We look ahead to 2001 and a season that opens in about 90 days in Fort Worth, Texas. At the Texas Motor Speedway, you see a number of NBC races on the schedule for next season, including our first broadcast at Donington Park in England. Note that that race, the race in Jarama, Spain, all part of the European Le Mans Series, though American Le Mans Series drivers can and will race there and earn points as well. And the season concludes once again back here in Adelaide, Australia, a little bit earlier on the calendar, the beginning of the month of December, and that APLMS means Asian Pacific Le Mans Series. They are 3 laps behind Lucas Luhr in the Dick Barber Racing Porsche. Now another problem for one of the BMWs, stopped right here at pit exit. That is Bill Oberlin, 9th place overall. They had a problem earlier in the race, repaired it, came back out on track. Now it has cropped up again, and Oberlin has stopped. And he's going to have to make another trip back to the garage. Dominance from McNish and Capello. Brad Jones did not get behind the wheel of the car through the course of this race. He was the Aussie driver called in as the standby in case McNish's back prevented him from going. He'll get an attaboy for being willing to help, but it was McNish and Capello doing the driving as you look at the rundown of the race of 1,000 years from Adelaide in South Australia. The Zero car, the Raffinelli Lola, dropping out late with driveline problems. Some of the cars now that failed to finish, including the 2001. Wrap up our race of 1,000 years coverage from Adelaide after we go to New York in the Sun America Sports Desk. Stay with us.
It was a race all the way to the end. Dirk Müller, the Dick Barber Racing team, won the race, won the title with you and Lucas Luhr.
It's unbelievable. I don't know what to say at the moment. First of all, I really thank my teammate Lucas Luhr. He did a tremendous job, and I also thank Dick Barber for the great car. Michelin tires lasted very well, and I'm really, really happy. I don't know what to say. I was in the car and I was like, oh, how long is that race going on? I don't know, but I'm really happy.
Excellent.
This division, since it was rolled out mid-year, there's the Porsche of Dirk Müller, and you saw the Dodge Viper of Olivier Beretta earlier, the 3 series champions in 2000 in the American Le Mans Series.